It's been a very busy and, dare I say, productive week for our first citizen at the Union Buildings. He finally fired Higher Education Minister Dr. Nhlanhla, suspended South Gauteng prosecution's boss Andrew Chauke 2 years after the initial request to do so, and gazetted the terms of reference for the judicial inquiry that will be probing allegations made by KZN Police Commissioner Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi. Tonight, I'll tell you about the very many and increasing casualties of Mkhwanazi's Sunday morning jamboree, which has also seen a former head of the Hawks come out of retirement to go on a media tour of his own. On top of everything we are already facing as a country, the US is edging closer towards legislating sanctions against South Africa for our genocide case against Israel, and personally punishing ANC leaders for having ties with Iran, Russia and Palestine. I'm Ziyanda Ngcobo, and this is your week in politics. President Cyril Ramaphosa has gazetted the terms of reference for a judicial inquiry into the claims by KZN Police Commissioner Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi. Acting Deputy Chief Justice Mbuyiseli Madlanga will investigate whether criminal syndicates infiltrated the police, intelligence and judiciary. The mandate will cover SAPS, the Johannesburg, Ekurhuleni and Tshwane Metro Police Departments, correctional services and the justice system. The inquiry will also examine the role of current and former senior officials who may have aided criminal activity, failed to act on intelligence or benefited from the syndicates. The President has granted the Commission sweeping powers, including summoning witnesses, compelling documents, conducting lawful search and seizure operations, and referring urgent matters for criminal investigation or prosecution. Life in South Africa has certainly never been the same since KZN Police Commissioner Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi disrupted what would have been the usual post-Durban July fashion police musings. Mkhwanazi shook the tree so hard that there are more casualties of that infamous briefing, which has seen Police Minister Senzo Mchunu and Deputy Police Commissioner Shedrick Sibiya taking leave of office. Now, Ramaphosa has suspended South Gauteng prosecution's boss, Andrew Chauke, 2 years after being advised to do so by NDPP Shamila Batoyi. At the same time, Joburg Transport MMC Kenny Kunene says he just happened to be at the house during the arrest of a wanted businessman, Katiso Katie Molefe, who's been implicated in the 2022 assassination of DJ Somebody and his 2 bodyguards. A case of being at the wrong place at the wrong time, Kunene claims. But Molefe's detention has also seen his firearms being linked to the murder of Reneging engineer Amand Swart, who was shot 23 times in a case of mistaken identity, as his killers believed he was the whistleblower of tender fraud at Transnet. So here's what Mkhwanazi told us on the 6th of July in relation to Molefe and the foiled arrest by the Political Killings Task Team, which was allegedly intercepted.
On the 6th of December 2024, the task team visited the premises of the 2 of the high-profile syndicate, of which one, Mr. Katiso Molefe, was arrested for the murder of Mr. Swart of QTech. During that arrest, an unusual activities were observed whilst the team were busy with the operation. These activities included a dispatching of members of the South African Police Service under the command of a senior manager at the head office to go and interrupt the operation that was unfolding. Fortunately, when they arrived there, the members realized that it is indeed a police operation, so they allowed the members to carry out their operation without disturbance.
Molefe's arrest has uncovered an entire web of assassinations, which the police have confirmed after the businessman and 3 other suspects appeared in the Alexandra Magistrates Court on Tuesday.
In relation to the second case, which is the murder of DJ Somebody and his 2 bodyguards, we have arrested 4 suspects. All 4 suspects were arrested yesterday, Monday afternoon in Gauteng. They have appeared in court today. and they have been charged with murder, conspiracy to commit murder, possession of unlicensed firearms as well as ammunition. What is interesting is that the same suspects that were arrested for the murder of 30-year-old Armand Swart, who was working for an engineering company in Vereeniging, are the same suspects that are arrested in connection with the murder of DJ Somebody and his 2 bodyguards.
So what was Joburg MMC Kenny Kunene doing at Molefe's house when the police swooped in to apprehend their suspect? Well, he claims that he was ever so generously accompanying young journalists that work for his African News Global website who needed transport on that day. I've personally never heard of this organization before, and even the former sushi king admits that it's been relatively dormant since he took office. Oh, and Kunene denies being friends with Molefe, by the way, a line we've heard quite a lot lately.
The person that facilitated the meeting had his mother's birthday. I think it's last year or early this year, I can't remember. So he had invited me, and the gentleman was also there. I greeted people, he was there, greeted him, and then I went to sit with my people. And that's it. Then I saw him on TV. I don't have his number, we have no relationship, we have no... But I must say, bravo, that if this man, I had his number, I would have told them. And I would say it now. If at all this man was my friend, I would say this man is my friend. Yes, he's an accused, but he's my friend.
But the usual keyboard warriors on social media were quick on their phones to uncover old photos of Kunene and Molefe posing together in what appears to be a club. Kunene's political home, the Patriotic Alliance, responded by saying it would write to the Transport MMC's bosses in the city of Johannesburg to have him removed from his post for a month while they try clear the air.
13,000 rands.
I believe Ken is innocent, but that's not enough. Murder is a serious thing. This is a serious allegation that goes around by the Democratic Alliance, by all the parties. So I don't want PA to be the party where we put things under the carpet. Even if we know, even if I know. So I'm saying to you, Kenny Kunene will be investigated. And I'm going to tell you who's going to investigate him. Lawyers of good character. And while he's being investigated, I'm going to remove him from being an MMC. I'm going to write to them. I'm also going to tell him to stand back from politics for 1 month until the investigation is done.
Okay, so the Molefe arrest and Kenny Kunene randomly being there is one thing. But remember, Mkhwanazi also mentioned a strange set of events where he claims another team rocked up when members of the Political Killings Task Team tried to nab Molefe sometime last year. And this is how former Hawks boss Godfrey Liba enters the fray. He admits to having sent a team to Molefe's house on that day, but this was after receiving a call from someone he says is an informant of the law enforcement agency. Liba says the larger context is how the Hawks were at the time dealing with the problem of crime intelligence officials posing as one of their own. Oh, and just like Kunene, Liba says he doesn't know Katie Molefe.
I don't know Katie Molefe. I never contacted Katiso Molefe before or after this. There is somebody else who made a call saying that he got a message from another friend or a close contact with Katiso Molefe. That is when he was clarifying earlier today after my first interview. He clarified that this is how he got to the address and how he got the information himself. He said that he did not talk to Katiso. But as you will appreciate, I said that we were dealing with an informant, a whistleblower, a source, somebody who has now indicated that he is prepared if the commission, when it starts its work, wants to hear from him, I believe that he will be given that opportunity to go and present his view.
Parliament's Police and Justice Portfolio Committees have resolved to establish an ad hoc body to investigate Mkhwanazi's claims within 90 days of being constituted. The scope will range from Mkhunu's alleged unlawful disbanding of the political killings task team, the moving of 121 dockets from KZN, Mkhunu's apparent moratorium on filling vacancies within crime intelligence, and whether he misled Parliament. Newzroom Afrika's Juanita Hunter takes a look.
When Parliament's ad hoc committee begins its investigation into the explosive claims made by KwaZulu-Natal Police Commissioner Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi, Police Minister Senzo Mchunu will be at the centre of its focus. The committee's primary task will be to investigate Mkhwanazi's allegations, as Mchunu continues to serve as a Member of Parliament, despite President Cyril Ramaphosa placing him on special leave.
It's important. We will zoom in on the closing or the alleged disbanding of the political killing task team. We will specifically look into political interference in operational matters of the South African Police Service, matter regarding the over 120 dockets that were allegedly moved through political instruction by the Deputy National Commissioner.
Despite parallel investigations underway, including a judicial commission of inquiry and a probe by the public protector, Parliament has resolved that it can't abdicate its own oversight responsibilities.
So I think Parliament is best positioned of everything, of all the different bodies. The reason I say this is because any commission's outcome, there's no legal mandate that they have to enforce the outcomes or the recommendations of that commission.
The inquiry will be held publicly, though there are concerns about how classified information will be handled. Still, MPs across party lines agree the allegations are far too serious for Parliament to take a back seat while other bodies investigate.
Mkhwanazi's Sunday morning briefing also accused prosecutors of being involved in this alleged intricate web involving the underworld and the various tentacles of the criminal justice system. And so, on Monday, after 2 years of allegations of being a state capture enabler, President Cyril Ramaphosa suspended South Gauteng prosecution's boss, Andrew Chauke, with immediate effect, pending an inquiry into his fitness to hold office. Investigators and researchers who've spent years closely monitoring the work of the National Prosecuting Authority say the evidence against Chauke is compelling.
The real surprise to those who have keenly watched South Gauteng NPA head advocate Andrew Chauke's performance over the years is how long it took the president to finally suspend him.
This case has been sitting on Ramaphosa's desk for 2 years now. And so it's taken quite a length of time for Chauke to be suspended pending this inquiry. In 2023, the NDPP, Shamila Batoy, wrote to the president to say, please suspend Chauke pending his fitness to hold office, an inquiry into his fitness to hold office. And so really it's about time.
Appointed to his post in 2011 by then President Jacob Zuma, it's alleged Chauke spent the better part of the next dozen or so years enabling state capture by protecting, instead of prosecuting, many powerful and well-connected individuals who looted the country's public resources or committed serious crimes. He previously denied the allegations.
No, Stephen, no, I'm not horrified. I'm not even surprised. In fact, I welcome that once people come with nonsense about me and all sort of things, the NPA gets to investigate and then it gets me to respond and whatever. That's the nature of the work that I do.
So it's the nature of the work that you're being investigated?
Yes. Even now, the NDPP herself and what God can tell you that allegations will be made against them and whatever. And whether the executive authority, the minister or the president will have to investigate and all sorts of things. So there's nothing wrong with that.
And amidst all of the things that have happened, there's mounting speculation that there'll be even more casualties from the July 6th briefing. EFF leader Julius Malema claims there's an impending warrant of arrest for National Police Commissioner Fani Masemola.
There is a warrant of arrest against Masemola. It's out. I don't know why it's not being picked up. It means someone somewhere is playing politics, and someone they want to undermine once more the independence of our justice system. Masemola is being arrested for what he did with Khumalo in the crime intelligence. Masemola was supposed to be arrested that week when Mkhwanazi had a press conference. So I thought Mkhwanazi's press conference was a preemptive strategy. And perhaps the arrest for Masemola is delayed by that or will be seen as if we are fighting back or anything of that sort. So it's a matter we're paying a very close attention to, because we cannot allow any more people to abuse their positions. Once a warrant of arrest is issued, it means there is some sort of evidence of wrongdoing which must be tested at a court.
And to the best of my ability. So help me God.
On other matters of the state, President Cyril Ramaphosa has finally axed Dr. Nhlanhla Ngcobo from the Higher Education Ministry. Our first citizen did so a day before Ngcobo was due to appear before the Portfolio Committee, which she had snubbed a week before, and instead took to the streets to join protesting students in the Eastern Cape. The second biggest partner in the Government of National Unity welcomed the move, and in exchange for this ended its budget boycott and threw its weight behind the appropriation bill.
I think that the events of the last month or two have reflected incredibly poorly on Cabinet through her conduct, and therefore I think it is the right decision that the President has made to relieve her of her duties, and we obviously look forward now to supporting that budget in Parliament.
But for the official opposition, the Umkhonto weSizwe Party, Ngcobo was a soft target for Ramaphosa.
The administration has become complacent, fat and untouchable and sexist. Look at how they have dealt with the issue of Senzo Mchunu and how quickly they have responded to the black educated woman Minister of Higher Education. She was just an easy soft target, a sacrificial lamb at the GNU altar. All things equal and fair, Minister Senzo Mchunu should have been fired in the same breath. This is a clear cowardice at the decisive moment by the President.
Ngcobo has now been replaced by her former deputy, Bhuti Manamela, while former KZN Premier Nomusa Dube-Ncube will be the second in charge. When we come back, the U.S. House Foreign Affairs Committee has voted in favor of sanctions against South Africa and imposing personal penalties on some leaders of the ANC. I'll take a greater look at the overall relations with the United States. And we finally have a budget as a country after the appropriation bill was voted on and passed in Parliament on Wednesday night. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back. You're still watching Your Week in Politics here on Channel 405. Plans are now afoot to personally sanction senior ANC members for their continued relations with what the United States deems as authoritarian regimes such as Iran, Russia and China. Now this comes after the U.S. House Foreign Affairs Committee on Tuesday voted in favor of a bill to review relations with South Africa with an overwhelming majority. The piece of legislation was first tabled in early April by Republican Representative Ronnie Jackson, who's taken aim at South Africa's genocide case against Israel at the International Court of Justice and our country's perceived closeness with enemies of the United States.
I've traveled a lot recently via my various committees, including this one, throughout the continent of Africa. And one thing I've seen is that we've really neglected Africa. We have spent a lot of money and wasted a lot of money there, in my mind, with no strategic thought whatsoever into how we're spending this money. I have a question for you regarding South Africa. South Africa has withdrawn from America and our allies in recent years while increasing diplomatic relationships with our foreign adversaries, deepening cooperation with China, attacking our greatest ally, Israel, at the International Court of Justice, downgrading Taiwan's diplomatic presence, and condoning violence and race-based persecution against minorities. I fully support President Trump's executive order to bolster the administration's efforts in combating the egregious actions taken by South Africa. To support the administration's efforts, I recently introduced the U.S.-South Africa Bilateral Relations Review Act, which would conduct a full review of our relationship with the Republic of South Africa and allow for the use of targeted sanctions against corrupt officials in the African National Congress.
President Cyril Ramaphosa has maintained that his Oval Office visit in May did open up the channels for negotiations, and the work continues behind the scenes.
We've heard about what has happened in a House committee, and that whole process still has a long way to go, and discussions will be ongoing, and we don't know exactly what is driving all this, and our bilateral dealings and engagements with the United States will continue, and we will talk about all manner of things, including precisely this issue and many others. We've got good diplomatic relations with the U.S. and we want to enrich them and make them better. So we are very positive that the outcomes of our engagement with the United States will be comprehensive and all-encompassing so that we can return to good dealings with the United States.
Former South African ambassador to the United States, Ibrahim Rasool, says our country's foreign policy needs to move in line with the geopolitical shifts that the world is experiencing.
But I do think something else has happened in between, and that there was a very assertive BRICS summit in Brazil in which BRICS countries began to realize that we are dealing with an unpredictable, even pernicious USA that has fomented a trade war. And therefore, that's part of the contingency. We need to shift our eggs.
And finally, South Africa has a budget. After weeks and months of political wrangling, a High Court appearance, and at least 2 postponements, Parliament has brought the 2025-26 process to a close. The National Assembly held a decisive vote on the appropriations bill on Wednesday, marking the final steps in approving government funding for the year ahead and the allocation of resources to national departments, public entities, and transfers to provinces and municipalities.
The intention of official opposition, minority parties, and the EFF was clear from the debate regarding their stance on the budgets.
Speaker, the EFF rejects the proposed appropriation bill tabled by the Minister of Finance. We have participated in all mini-plenary debates and made concrete and substantive submissions of practical amendments that are going to give us the people's budget.
Once again, the government has shown that it lacks political will to address the fundamental economic issues of the country. The fear to drive fundamental changes to the structure of the economy is testament to a government that is in the pockets of big business that profit from the structure of the economy.
The case for corruption has been made, and we are here speaking about a budget. This country doesn't trust the ANC with this budget. And now that the DA has led the ANC into the budget, no one should trust it at all. This country deserves better.
This appropriations bill we reject. It is not just fiscally flawed, it is morally bankrupt. It is the spreadsheet of a captured elite who still believe that GDP growth at 1.4% is enough to feed a nation where 45.5% of youth are unemployed and hope has become a luxury for most people.
However, despite their opposition to the 42 departmental budgets, the DA's support for the national budget meant that rejecting the bill was more symbolic than tangible. Following the firing of Higher Education Minister Dr. Godfrey Liba, the DA said it would support the bill, even though Human Settlements Minister Thembisa Mkhwanazi remains in her post as Minister of the Department. DA leader John Steenhuisen says their supporters understand their change of heart on the matter.
I think our supporters understand why we're in the GNU and why you're not going to get everything that you want. I think that was a significant victory to have more or less than 48 hours before the budget vote Mkhwanazi being removed as the Minister of Higher Education, as we had insisted upon. There are other people within the GNU that we believe have deep clouds hanging over their heads, and we'll continue to use our position within the GNU to make sure that they are held accountable.
All departmental budgets needed to be accepted before the appropriation bill could be passed, including those of the police, which remained controversial following KwaZulu-Natal Police Commissioner Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi's claims of deep-rooted corruption within the service.
And that's a wrap of Your Week in Politics for now. Next week, the Kgalema Motlanthe Foundation will be hosting its winter seminar at the Johannesburg Stock Exchange, where we might get sightings of our special envoy to the US, Cebisi Jonas. Perhaps he can clarify what his status in that country is and the behind-the-scenes work he's been doing to mend that fence. But for now, it's goodbye. Thank you for watching.